Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandal, Namandal, Namandal. Good morning. I first wanted to mention the recording that you just heard. Our music director Kemi Nakabayashi has brought us this new recording for this because she wasn't able to make it today. So we thank her and the creators of that song for the new rendition of Nambutsu. So today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite things, sports. Does anybody know what's happening starting this week? The World Cup. That's right. We have several games that are going to be played here. I'm going to get to go to one of them. I get the cheap seats. I'm in the nosebleeds, so like it's going to be a hike just to get to the top of where we have the seats. But I really love sports ever since I was a little kid. I grew up near Boston, so my favorite teams are any Boston team and then anybody who's playing a New York team or the Lakers. It was an easy life that way. We had the teams that were near us and the teams that we didn't like. And over time, you know, I've realized kind of what the role of sports is in our lives. It's a really important kind of like mini life that we get to lead, right? We're not going to war, we're not fighting with anybody, but we have like our people, you know, like we have this group of people that we're really rooting for, who have gone to the greatest extent possible to become the best that they are at what they do. And the result, the outcome of this, not counting any betting that you do on top of it, is this. You know, it's kind of like people literally talk about you live or die by your team, right? You have these enormous highs and these terrible lows when this happens. So I was here when the Sounders won their MLS Cup and the CONCACAF Champions League, and so I've gotten to be there at the moment where this final like release happens, where everybody is all kind of joyous and together, and I think that sports in general is something that allows people to gather together, even if they might not have anything else in common. Like for example, one of my teams is Liverpool. Like I've been to Liverpool once, and it was to go see a game. So I don't really have any connection apart from maybe some ancestors 300-400 years ago to Liverpool, but I do still feel that connection to these people, and so. There's good and bad, and I chose our pledge as part of this because the good and bad of this are things that we can watch unfold literally right in our own city for the next month and a half. The good part about watching a sporting event, especially when it's a team event, is especially when you're watching something like soccer. You have one person doesn't make the team, right? Like you can't just have one really good player and then 10 people that aren't very good. You know, any of these sports it's the same kind of way. That individual brilliance doesn't work, and this kind of connects to the way not just Buddhism but how Jodo Shinshu sees Buddhism, where we're not on that path of sages. We're not these brilliant, individual, going to be a bodhisattva, going to become a Buddha kinds of people. We recognize that is something that is exceedingly difficult, and to see somebody that does something better than you is something that should make you feel good. You should appreciate that people are different, and that some people have these amazing skills, but also that it's the team effort that brings everything together. The other part of this is the other major teaching that we talk about in Buddhism, which is impermanence. You know, we can encapsulate, compress our suffering into this, 90-minute plus extra time game, and then the aftermath of it, of whether our team won or lost. And I think that's just, it's a really amazing, it's a really amazing way for you to feel all of the emotions without it being absolutely, critical to the core of your life. The ideas of fair play, of people actually, following the rules and having a referee right there in the place to make sure that everything happens fairly, is another thing that I think is it helps a lot of people to understand what you can and cannot do. I think that's a major organizing principle of sports. When you get your 7-year-old kid to kick around a soccer ball, it isn't just about the exercise. It's about participating. It's about being a part of a collective of people that have literally a common goal. And the other thing is, and this is something that's very American, like the Americans aren't the best at this. And that's something that's pretty rare. Like, we pick sports that we invent so that we can be the best at them. This one isn't one of ours. This one comes from elsewhere. And so we have been going to these World Cups. We've even missed some because we weren't good enough to make it. We lost to Trinidad and Tobago one year, and it caused us to miss out on going to a World Cup. So the idea that we just happen to be like one of a number of teams it's kind of liberating. The idea that we actually kind of hope that something good happens instead of just assume that the dream team is going to come and win it all for us. And there are also some bad things. Like in our pledge, and this is kind of why I picked this one out specifically, we talk about getting lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance. And there's a reason that I'm not using slides today, and it's because the World Cup is very well policed from an intellectual property standpoint. And I don't want to get myself or the temple in trouble for putting an image of a logo or a soccer ball or anything like that on this, because there are actually going to be intellectual property police that are going to the bars and making sure that people are paying a licensing fee whenever a soccer game is on TV for the next month and a half. This is also happening in Canada and Mexico, and I know from my friends that run sports bars and things in Mexico that the fine can be up to $1.5 million American dollars for this. The amount of money that is flowing through this system is ridiculous. And then we also have the tendency to kind of go overboard with the way that we respond to wins. There are riots in the streets sometimes after games, and so we can see this, anger, these overt emotions becoming too much for people. And that's another thing that we can observe. And finally, we even have kind of politics to this. The game that I'm actually going to see is Egypt versus Iran. The Iranian team is not allowed to come into the country until the morning of each game that they play. They're going to come in from Tijuana, Mexico. They're going to play 2 games in Los Angeles, and then they have to fly out of the country after the game back to their camp outside of the country. So this thing that is supposed to be uniting us, is supposed to be bringing us all together, is still going to end up separating us. And one of the things that that always brings me back in to Buddhism is the idea of personal ethics around this, right? I've already said I've chosen to participate in this by spending money on these tickets to go to this game, and for the record, it's not like the thousands of dollars tickets. It's the small money ticket. But I also realize that by participating economically in this, I have invested in this, and these are decisions that we have to make about all of the things that we do in our lives. How do we participate financially or socially in these kinds of things in a way that comports with our own individual ethics? And the thing that I like most about Buddhism is that nobody who sits here is going to say, do this, don't do that. This is something that we all need to be aware of, and to think about how we are going to lead our lives in a way that we think is morally good. And I respect everybody's opinion on how they do this with respect to this or any kind of sports, and the costs that are involved in that, both social and economic. But again, this all comes back to a little microcosm of life. I think all of these kinds of events have these lessons for us that we can take if we can only look at it through that lens. So that's your homework for the next month and a half. Watch the games or don't. Have an opinion about them or don't. But it is going to be an immense amount of human emotion and participation in one place, and I think that's something to recognize. So with that, please enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Stay off the roads. They're going to be terrible for the next month. Keep a calendar of the days that the World Cup games are happening, and just plan on staying home for a good chunk of it. But anyway, please enjoy your Sunday, and please join me in Gasho. Namo Amitabhats. Namo Amitabhats. Namandal. Namandal. Nam.